physical disabilities in a rehabilitation setting for about 10 years at the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab across the lifespan and different ages. I went and got a post-professional doctorate degree and began teaching here at Rush in 2018. I just marked my 8th-year anniversary. I love that I've been able to stay involved in clinical practice here at Rush, given our proximity to the hospital. So I've done some work in acute care, and I currently do some work in an older adult primary care setting alongside my teaching, research, and then admissions duties. I am joined by my wonderful partner in crime, Michelle McFall Johnson. She's our program administrative manager. She's also our fieldwork assistant. She's been with Rush for, I won't out her on how many years, and with the occupational therapy program for a very, very long time. A wealth of knowledge and helps with really all of our recruitment and onboarding. So please, she's here for questions, and get to know her as you apply to Rush. We're here for any questions. With that being said, over the course of the next hour, I'm hoping to tell you a little bit more about Rush University Medical Center itself. Then we're going to talk more about the college, right, the university aspect of the medical center. Then I'm going to talk more about our occupational therapy program before diving into the requirements to apply to our OT program. And usually I can save about 10 minutes or so, at least 5 minutes. I shouldn't promise too much for questions. So if you do have questions, you can feel free to drop them in the chat as we go along. I likely won't pause and answer them until the end. You'll see I kind of get on a roll and there can be no stopping me. But if I see it and I can address it at that moment, I will, but certainly there will be time for questions at the end. Oftentimes, some students have questions like specific syllabi, etc. Those we always welcome. If you have a question about a prereq, that you can send it to us, and we have our contact information at the end. That sound like a plan? Let's do it Monday night. I'm curious if folks don't mind either unmuting or are able to share kind of where you are and when you plan to apply to OT school.
I can go. Hi, my name is Julia, and I plan to apply this coming cycle that opens in less than a month.
Yeah, show of hands, anyone else gonna apply coming cycle? And Julia, am I correct? Are you in Chicago?
Yes, I am in Chicago.
Okay, yes. And it looks like most everyone's planning on applying this cycle. You all are in your perfect time with OTCAS set to launch in July 16th, to my understanding. Any other folks in Chicago? Show of hands. And then maybe those outside of Chicago want to share where you're at or from.
I'm from the Chicago area, but I currently go to school in Denver, Colorado. So that's where I currently am.
Beautiful.
And
Everybody loves Denver.
I
Go ahead.
also am from Chicago, but I currently go to school at the University of Texas at Austin.
Okay, welcome, Emily. Texas.
And I go to college near Chicago in Wheaton, but I'm from Oklahoma City, so I'm here for the summer.
Okay, well, welcome. Sounds like most everyone, we can wait for anybody off video would like to unmute and share. Otherwise, or feel free to drop in the chat. Let me pull up in my chat. Oh, Michelle, 25 years at Rush. Well, it sounds like most of you all are familiar with Chicago, a wonderful place to be. I'll touch on that briefly. And again, if you have any questions as we move along, feel free to drop those in the chat. But let's keep her moving. So first, as I mentioned, I wanted to talk about the medical center as a whole. So the university itself and the OT program is part of this larger medical system. So we are a non-for-profit academic health system. We are the largest and oldest private academic medical center in Illinois, which is really a fun fact. Our history spans over 180 years. Not a huge history buff, but we have some fun history tips, facts for you in this slide deck. We were founded actually before the city of Chicago was even chartered, and Daniel Brainerd selflessly named Rush after Benjamin Rush, who was the only physician to sign the Declaration of Independence. It was Chicago's first healthcare institution and really the only medical school like west of like the East Coast area at that time where everything was kind of starting up. So we have the Academic Medical Center, which you can see pictured here. We're just west of the Chicago Loop, and you can see our butterfly building, which is kind of our characteristic acute care hospital that you can see from the interstate. This location is like a campus that also includes our university. We have a children's hospital there. We have a rehabilitation center, a brand new, it's 2 years old, that's pictured there on the bottom right-hand side. And then the university is just really a stone's throw away. We also have sites that are within the the surrounding Chicagoland area to community hospitals and numerous outpatient care facilities. Another cool thing about Rush, the medical center itself is really, really well established and well known. We have a consistent 5-star rating, the highest possible for quality from the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services. For the 6th year in a row, we've been named among the best in U.S. News and World Report's hospital honor roll. Other accolades, fun accolades include Vizient has ranked us consistently among the top 3 in the nation for quality and accountability. Rush University Medical Center has once again this year been named LGBTQ+ Healthcare Equality Index, and that's been annually, we've been recognized on that report since 2010. Another thing that I want to highlight as an organization really has a strong culture of innovation. So they're always continuing to strive and move forward with improvements, whether that's with the facilities or within the education itself. We recently, Rush teamed up with MD Anderson Cancer Center, one of the nation's leading cancer centers, to really provide exceptional cancer care right here within Chicago. So the university, as I mentioned, it's really like a stone's throw from that butterfly-shaped building in our academic building. Almost all of our courses throughout the university are within the academic building. So all of the students are really in this space, but it is connected via the 4th floor pedestrian ways. As you come up the elevators, as you go to the cafeteria, you are going to see patients and their families. All of the different departments here within the university and the different colleges are focused exclusively on health sciences. So all students here share that similar set of values and goals despite the varying specific program of study. We have the medical college. We have the College of Health Sciences, which is what the occupational therapy degree is in, alongside I want to say up to 40 other programs within the college itself, including things like medical laboratory sciences, speech therapy, audiology, are all housed within the College of Health Sciences. There is also a College of Nursing as well, and a large group of nursing students. Our students do participate in 2 interdisciplinary courses in which all students within the university are required to take. So even those that are returning from a career in healthcare to get an advanced degree are all enrolled in this course to help ensure that all students that graduate from Rush are aware of what it takes to work in an interdisciplinary team and what other disciplines have to offer. We really, as a university, value clinical integration. This is like the hallmark of an education and a degree at Rush. We have the acute care hospital and many other clinical settings all within a stone's throw, as I mentioned. And not only are we located within a close proximity, we also have close relationships with them. We invite those clinicians into our classrooms, and our students are going out into those clinical spaces beginning with the 4th week in the program. And really, we have a graded experience to build you up to the field works that are later in the curriculum. Another really great thing that I love about Rush University is its commitment to the West Side community and really to bridge the gap, the life expectancy gap between the downtown, more affluent communities and the West Side. And they do this in a lot of really cool, unique ways, like trying to use West Side vendors. They actually opened up a linens processing facility here on the West Side to not only treat people in the hospital, to get them healthcare coverage and to get them jobs, to get them employed, and to invest our money back into the West Side community. One of the ways that our students have to kind of live up to this commitment is 16 hours of community service. So all of the students in our college and within the OT program before graduation need to complete 16 hours. There are so many opportunities. Every single one of the faculty are involved in their own kind of passion service area, and our student organizations also help support this. So it's something all of our students do meet and have lots of opportunities to do so. So occupational therapy also has a really fun history at Rush that dates all the way back to 1916 by Susan Tracy, which is even before the profession itself was established. So Susan Tracy was here while the OT program, the OT profession was being established on the East Coast, teaching about occupational therapy and working clinically. Now, this is the best of the fun facts here, is that we actually were founded 2 years before the profession of physical therapy was established. So occupational therapy actually established itself ahead of physical therapy, which surprises many folks. Not a competition, but interesting, right? I mean, fun fact. We didn't start an official academic department until 1986, which was founded by Dr. Cynthia Hughes Harris, who was recently retired and named a leader within our profession. We decided to transition from a very successful master's degree in preparing clinically prepared alumni, Rush alumni, with the master's degree, to leveling that up with the OTD in the spirit of Rush's innovation. So now we have that additional capstone experience. We've upgraded some of the learning objectives within our curriculum to be along the lines of not just being able to share knowledge, but to be able to actually create new knowledge for the profession. And we've been really successful in that, and I will speak more to that as we move forward. If you haven't been yet to Rush, here are a few pictures. I'll talk more about some on-campus opportunities later. But what we have here on the top left-hand corner is some of our interactive spaces. Students are working in groups to solve problems a lot. And we have some nice classroom spaces that are designed to facilitate that, with tables moving, whiteboards, etc., to keep it engaging. This isn't big lecture halls. Yes, you do have some lectures, but a lot of what you're doing is really hands-on work within the lab, maybe actually doing different activities or really working through case scenarios. Another way that we really have received a great reputation for our students' clinical preparation is through our simulation experiences, which we have a number of different opportunities across the different practice settings, including mental health intervention practice and more of your traditional physical disability acute care practice, in which students get the opportunity to navigate clinical challenges in kind of this safe, supported environment. Sounds scary, but students consistently say out of anything that they wish they had more of those opportunities. They really build students' confidence, even if they have challenges. This isn't like the final, exam. This is more of a learning process in itself, with a lower stakes on the grade, higher emphasis on the learning. There is our butterfly-shaped tower. As I mentioned, we have a few great food options where you can spend all your money on their clubs and reward programs. The Panera has a great SIP program, and Starbucks is located right within the academic building. We also have a second floor cafeteria, as I mentioned. The tower itself has a little rooftop patio, might you say, on the 4th floor here, which students use a lot for lunch breaks. I'm hosting my summer office hours there, encouraging students to get outside and trying to meet them in spaces where they already are. So that's available for students and encouraged. And then the right-hand picture is the library. So the second level of the library was recently renovated to include some more like interactive spaces. There's also a quiet section of the library, and there are group spaces where students can reserve rooms as well. Students can access the library 24/7 with their ID badge. So a little bit more about our program. We have that entry-level doctorate program, which we target a class size of approximately 36. The program itself begins in the fall, so right after Labor Day, orientation the week before. It runs 8 semesters or terms, really, full time. So we have a fall term, a spring term, and a summer term that continues for 8 terms. If you began in fall of 27, which if you're submitting for OTCAS in this upcoming cycle, you would graduate in spring of 2030. Can you believe that? Is that right? It's going to be here quick. It sounds far away. It will be here very soon. So really the highlight here, the practitioner, teacher, investigator model, and this is just to underscore that all of our faculty are also involved in practice as long-time their scholarship and teaching duties. So we have one faculty member that works in early intervention part-time with the little babies. Dr. Richie Ramirez will go over into behavioral health 1 day a week, and we all have some sort of active practice. We have a small student to faculty ratio coming in at 8 or 9 faculty with a really close advising and mentorship program, I would say, comparatively throughout the curriculum. We are fully accredited. We have built our accreditation and our doctorate program alongside a running long, strong tradition of full accreditation. And for our initial OT doctorate accreditation, we are granted the maximal accreditation period, which is like kind of getting the best score because they're not going to come back for as long as they could possibly take to come back and check in on us. And we are currently getting ready for an on-site visit for our kind of reaccreditation for our doctorate program in September. So stay tuned. We are looking great, feeling enthusiastic about it, have all of our binders ready to go. That is something important that as you look into different programs, you do want to make sure that you graduate from an accredited program in order to sit for the exam. I mentioned a lot of our interdisciplinary opportunities already with the interdisciplinary course. We also have collaborations with the nursing students, for example, who come in and teach vitals. And there are other opportunities really sprinkled in throughout the curriculum, but I've highlighted our heavy hitters. Some other things that make Rush's program unique, we do have as part of the curriculum certifications and a lot of different specialty trainings. The one that I find particularly the most unique and the most valuable is our physical agent modalities didactic certification. So physical agent modalities are anything from like a hot pack, which would be like a thermal modality, or if you've ever seen electrical stimulation or heard of TENS. So those are all things, ultrasound, that therapists can use in treatment. However, in the state of Illinois, in order to do a hot pack, cold pack, any of those interventions, you do need a special certification. And our students receive that through part of our curriculum just ahead of going out to field work. I, for example, did not have that as part of my curriculum. And I, for like a couple of months until I could complete the multi-day course, couldn't even do a hot or a cold pack, even though I had like the clinical reasoning behind it. And I paid like $500 through our Illinois OT Association in order to get that certification. So that's a big perk, and the checkoffs, the students can get checked off on field work, and it allows our students to get a little bit more hands-on on their clinical experiences. You can see the other ones there. So talking more about the clinical experiences. So all occupational therapy programs, master level or doctorate programs, do require that there are field work 2s, A's and B's are what they're called, and those are 2 12-week experiences, and that's required in order to be accredited. They also require that there's these field work 1s, So we have 1A and B in order to prepare students for that field work too. How programs do the field work 1 is not set in place like the field work 2 that has to be 12 weeks. So programs do it really different. And you can even get by with just doing like one classroom session a few times within a course. Whereas our students are going out for 2 weeks at the end of the 3rd term and the 4th term and getting that immersive experience. So that is significantly longer from what I've seen from other programs. And in addition to that, the first 3 terms of the program, alongside one of your courses that you're already enrolled in, one of your assignments you actually have to complete like at a clinical site as part of your practicum, where you do go out to the local Rush clinical spaces, whether that is acute care, outpatient hands, outpatient general. We have students that go over to the Lawrence Armour Day School and a variety of other settings, and those are scheduled over the course of a 4-week time period for 3 hours before, after class, or on Friday. So this is really fun. Fridays we try, no guarantees, to keep free of scheduled classroom activities, but certainly there's a lot of different group work. There are these clinical experiences that occur throughout the program in which students do need to adjust and do things on Fridays. They also, in between, kind of sandwiched in between these fieldwork 1A and Bs and fieldwork 2, one of our other like optional things that our mental health instructor has added in is our group dynamics experience, in which students go out into the community in small groups and have to actually like run a group with the oversight of a faculty member. So all building up for your preparation on those longer experiences. The doctorate capstone experience could look like a more traditional setting in which your project is producing something new for them, or it could look like a non-traditional site. We have students go to the Mayor's Office for Disability. We have a lot of students here in academia that are working on building their leadership skills, and I'll speak a little bit more to this as we move forward. Some other highlights: we really value being at the forefront with classroom and clinic technology. So you can see in the top left-hand corner is our anatomatage tables, in which helps prepare our students for a rigorous anatomy course in the first semester, along with kinesiology, and it's used really throughout the curriculum as one of our many different pieces of technology. You can also see underneath that picture one of our students here with a social robot that is used in clinical sites with patients to develop social emotional skills and communication as well. We value close mentorship with the faculty, whether you come in and you're assigned your academic advisor and that transitions to your clinical advisor as you kind of narrow down your capstone idea and your clinical interests, and then you're paired with a faculty that kind of matches and can support you in that certain interest area if you are looking to go that direction. Mentioned, we have that hands-on clinical experience every semester. We love to get out into the community, whether that's through the practicum, more traditional clinical spaces. We are out there. We won our Illinois Promote OT Challenge, getting students out there, educating the next generation of youth about what a great profession occupational therapy is and all that it has to offer. So why an OTD? I kind of highlighted this in our transition to the doctorate. This helps the profession really keep up with the demands of the healthcare that's requiring more advanced skills. This promotes leaderships and roles, participation in emerging practice areas and community roles, and then future career opportunities. I really see our doctorate level students are kind of transformed in the way that they have to really advocate for what occupational therapy is and what they're uniquely, it's like on the student and those leadership skills that they have to rely on, their knowledge of the profession and their leadership in order to make an impact. And it really, we have this transformative learning model, but you can really see students when we admit them at orientation come from like novice eager learners to them being like experts at capstone dissemination, which is really, really cool. And it also offers them some career opportunities. So whether that's if you're really interested in pursuing research or in academia, we have had alumni that are on adjunct faculty at USC of Southern California. We often invite them in to teach, and that does require that advanced level doctorate degree, as well as a lot of our alumni within leadership as well. Field work. So we have given our strong reputation for producing clinically prepared students. We have a lot of different relationships with fieldwork sites in a time where fieldwork spots can be kind of hard to find. We have a lot of different programs here in Chicago, and there aren't as many clinicians, but we really have a solid process for that. Our fieldwork coordinator works very hard to schedule a lot of different opportunities. So we have those like 36 students, and they have 200 total opportunities to choose from each year. And then they kind of rank their preferences, and there's a big matching process that kind of goes into an algorithm, and we try and support and make sure that students are going somewhere that's a good fit for them. And it typically works out that, I don't know, this year they had some awesome numbers, but I think everyone got like above a third place rating, or like 90% of them did. Michelle can fact check me on that, but something like that. Very solid. So we also, if you are interested in going somewhere there in Texas that you found, or back in Oklahoma, then it's a new site, and we are able to get a contract with that. And you would, if you work that out with our fieldwork coordinator in advance, of course, that site would be yours to keep. It wouldn't like go in the lottery. We have students pre-placed. Research and scholarship. So I really like the way our program sets up the research element of the curriculum. So it really models that kind of active learning process in which students are paired with a faculty member during the second term of the program, and they work with that faculty member over the course of the next 4 semesters, and then they end with research dissemination day where they're sharing their work. So this is on the top left-hand corner is our students that are current second year students and myself. They looked at the impact of a yoga session that we did and on stress levels. So this was, I don't know, first year they started this research group with me, and they really helped me develop it from the ground up, from like the abstract, from submitting for IRB. They helped me with the methods. They helped do the data analysis, like under close guidance from me. So it's I feel like on all these groups, I get to like know the students and be kind of part of the group collaboration process, which I think is pretty unique. And I just got today an announcement that it was published in our Journal of Occupational Therapy Education, which getting a peer review publication, it takes a heavy amount of lifting, and these students were involved in it. They got to see all of the different steps. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. But this is a similar process where students are kind of matched with faculty based off of their various interest levels and really occur across a wide variety of topics. And then, if you're really interested in research, your capstone project can be like a research focused question. It has to be something that you are contributing to the profession and analyzed in like a strategic, rigorous, scientific way. So you will end up with some sort of data, even if you're just developing a program and looking at how effective was it, etc. There's all the faculty in Bangkok recently, and also there's quite a few students sprinkled in there. I know all the faculty look so young, so you can't tell which ones are students, just kidding. But we had quite a few alumni and students that were able to present nationally and here internationally at Bangkok, which was really, really cool and lovely to see them like out there, our alumni, our students, like sharing the work on an international stage. Very cool. Okay, we have a lot of different resources for you here at Rush throughout the university. The faculty relationships I mentioned, and they're down lower on the list, but I want to kind of start with them. I think that's really your gateway in that relationship to all of these other resources. We do have the Center for Academic Excellence, which does a lot of writing support for our students, also like academic coaching, tutoring. We have the student accessibility services that works closely with our incoming students to make sure that they have the appropriate learning environment and is available really for all students. Sometimes they change their mind or different things come up and they may be diagnosed with something or have a unique need come up during the curriculum, and we partner closely with the accessibility services and work to support the students through graduation. We know it's a trying time for getting financial aid for students. We are looking, Rush itself as a whole is expanding kind of the financial aid office and looking more from like a financial coaching and wellness perspective, working to get our students paired with the kind of best interest rate and helping support them and navigate through this process, not just from like a loan perspective, but from like you as a whole that like needs to pay your bills. We also have our Center for Clinical Wellness, which does both virtual and in-person therapy sessions. They are unlimited to students and free, alongside different coaching and these energy pods and all sorts of different fun programming as well. I mentioned our service hour requirement, and we have a plethora of ways to get involved in the community. I work on a grant in which I help train OT students to deliver balance screenings to older adults within the community. You see that kind of pictured on the bottom left-hand side. Our students are always planning different events as part of our Occupational Therapy Association. Here you can see on the right-hand side our Adopt a Family event. We go out and do a backpack fitting every year. We have an Honor Society, PTE, that will organize different events, and the list goes on and on. We also have two separate groups, the Rush OTs in Action. We just held an event for Juneteenth and for Pride Month. If you aren't following us on Instagram, there was a lot of dancing involved and it was very fun. But we do like to both do fun things that promote an inclusive environment and kind of expand our viewpoints on the way that we are seeing things and prepare us to be better practitioners in working with a diverse client population. We also want this committee really serves as a way to keep us accountable. We've done syllabus reviews. We've done working on how we're going to give feedback for different microaggressions, etc. So we use this to really put our money where our mouth is when it comes to moving forward on a diverse and inclusive space. So some of the outcomes, we just went up 3 in the rankings, which we are super excited about. We moved from 18 to 15. We have a small program, small faculty. We are out there, we are passionate, and we are sharing our knowledge and getting involved in leadership organizations, which is kind of how those rankings are determined. They're really determined by other program directors kind of ranking your reputation. Just as a fun fact. We have a very good NBCOT exam score and pass rate. So in order to become licensed, you do need to pass a board exam, which the passing score is 450 out of all US programs. Folks on average across the country get a 463 for a passing score, and ours, you can see, well exceeded that at 478. We do make efforts to make our test questions in the same like NBCOT style trick format. We also have included an NBCOT practice exam that we purchase for all of our students, and it's part of the kind of second to last term to help students prepare for the NBCOT. We also have alumni preparation sessions, so like Life After Rush session, as you come to a close in the curriculum to help support you. Once you graduate here, you are not done. If for some reason you don't pass the exam, we're reaching out trying to support you and making sure that you pass it on that next attempt. So students, we have some high level of satisfaction on our exit survey. We have data, the only complete data I set was from back in 24, with 92% of the class was employed within 3 months of graduation. So I'd say it's typical that most of our students are employed. Sometimes they may need to compromise on a practice setting or a location, but the jobs are out there and our students are getting employed if they're willing to compromise on some things. That's not everybody's circumstance, obviously. And some people have life circumstances where they want to enjoy a little bit of time ahead of getting employed. The mean US salary is 96,000. I feel like that is higher than a lot of what our new graduates are receiving, as you can imagine. It's more along that 65 to 70 range, I would say, that most of our graduates are receiving. Again, it comes down to our graduates, like, do you value like money or location? I think there's some wiggle room if you are flexible with your location and just want to make money. You know, you could go to a certain skilled nursing setting in a location where they have a hard time getting folks, and you will make that 96,000 potentially. But yeah, it's not unheard of. But most people want to get some other things like the location that they prioritize or the different mentorship and experience. Okay, what does it take to get into our program? We're running a little bit long. So we have our mission, and we are really committed to matriculating students with a passion for learning, service, and scholarship. So as you review through your entire kind of like OT class and your entire background, really thinking about how are you demonstrating a passion for learning in the profession, a passion for service and scholarship. I think those are things that are, we really emphasize at Rush, but I think they also translate to a variety of different OT programs. We also want to build a workforce that is diverse and reflective of the patients that we serve, and it is inclusive. So in order to be considered for acceptance, you must complete that online application through the Occupational Therapy Centralized Application System. I mentioned that's set to open on July 16th, but you should definitely be starting to get your ducks in a row and thinking about who you'll get your letters of recommendation from. That's a requirement for all programs, as well as the personal statement. Some folks have more specifics around your 2 letters of recommendation. We just require that it's anyone familiar with your professional aptitude. Ahead of matriculating, you must have completed a bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited institution. Many of our folks, our applicants, do submit their application ahead of graduation, just as long as we get the transcripts, your final transcripts with a bachelor's degree on it ahead of your start date and matriculation, you are good to go. We do require a minimum of a 3.0 on the 4.0 scale on the most recent 2 years of education. We feel like this is accurately able to kind of capture the academic essentials of being successful in our program and passing that board exam. So we try and make it to the most recent 2 years to capture the current and kind of most like inclusive GPA. We do require occupational therapy experience. We require 20 hours minimum observation. And it doesn't have to be any specifics, but it certainly is helpful for you to have a variety of different practice settings or understanding of different practice settings as you work through and making your personal statement. We have some upcoming alumni question and answer sessions, including one on Wednesday. And if you do sign up or attend those, we will count that as 1 shadowing hour towards your time at Rush. And they really are a great way to learn more about the profession and the different practice settings. This one on Wednesday is we have some acute care alumni coming in for just an hour question and answer session, pretty casual. So we do require an interview. So we received around 200 applications last year, and we interviewed around 120 students. Those go through starting in October, we're planning of this year, and ending in February. We have a number of different interview sessions, and we're kind of doing a rolling admissions throughout that time frame. Here are prerequisite courseworks. We require anatomy with the lab, the cadaver lab preferred, as well as physiology and the 3 credits. This is the only prerequisite course that must be completed within 5 years. I mentioned our program has a rigorous anatomy course, and we want this material to be fresh. Any statistics course, as long as it covers descriptive and inferential, a sociology or an anthropology. Human growth and development, that must be from birth through old age. So we need the entire lifespan, not just a like adolescence or an older adult. We need the entire lifespan. 2 psychology courses are required. Only one of them is kind of specific to be abnormal psychology. The other course could be like an intro to psych, or any other psychology course that you may take. We do require that you've achieved a grade of a C or higher in your prerequisite coursework. So once you submit your application, we want to make sure that you've met our minimum requirements as outlined previously. We want to know that you're familiar with OT. I also mentioned this. We do look closely, like holistically, work, research, community service experience. So anything like that that you're able to add into your OT CAS application is going to be considered and be supported, even if it doesn't feel directly related to occupational therapy. We know occupational therapists with a variety of background and different experiences, whether that's lifeguard, different work experience, caregiving for a family member. Just include that and make sure it's captured and reflected within your OT CAS application. Mentioned these points already, but some tips. Do suggest you apply early. I mentioned our interviews start in late October and run through February. We have October 15th set as our kind of early acceptance priority deadline, and that will just help you secure an earlier interview seat. And I mentioned we have the rolling admissions process, so those students are more likely to be kind of we're more likely to have more spots earlier in the cycle than later as we move on. So definitely suggest applying early. We're seeing more and more applicants not completing the experiences section of OT CAS thoroughly. So when you go into OT CAS, note that not only are you talking about your work experience and your leadership roles within your personal statement, that you are explicitly writing down like the hours and the dates within the experiences section in order to allow us to do an equitable review. When we go through, and other programs do this, they use like rubrics that are trying to like really quantify to be fair, to minimize bias. And we're looking for those specifics of like, how long did you do this? What was it? So if you mention it in your personal statement, it may not have the detail that your program needs in order to effectively like capture that via their rating criteria. Monitor your application status. They are OT CAS. We'll pay them to like verify your transcripts, do a number of other things on the back end, and we will not review your application until it is verified. So do make sure you keep an eye on that status tab once you submit. Take your time getting to know not only, Rush, but whatever schools that you are applying to, and think about kind of what's a match for you and your values as well. We have a lot of fun stuff. If you're interested in like kind of getting to know what it's like to be at Rush, definitely following us on Instagram. And I have some information on that later on. So our tuition, we work very hard to try and keep it at a reasonable cost, and we benchmark it with other programs, and comparable programs we end up coming across is actually cheaper. However, it is a significant amount of money. Let me pull up my details. And currently the cost of tuition for the full program is $123,000. We have a flat rate of $15,479 per term. So this means we don't have any separate like lab costs, lab fees. Like textbooks are something that are on your own. We do have the loan process through the library, and also a lot available as far as textbooks from within the program. Students are all eligible for financial aid when they complete the FAFSA. We have financial aid come to all of our interviews to help with some of the transparency of the cost and what the typical like loan package breakdown is. That is not my expertise area, and we really feel we know this is an important thing, the finances for students, and we work to be as transparent as possible and collaborate with financial aid. We do also have a number of scholarships, and most recently we were able to award over $350,000 to the incoming cohort alone. We do have additional scholarships that become available throughout the time in the program. We really use the same, there's no extra scholarship application is kind of the key takeaway. Once you submit your OTCAS application, we really use that same holistic review that we use for the admissions decision in order to allocate scholarship funds. We have traditional scholarships that include both just based off of merit, which is more like here's the money straight up. We also have graduate assistants. We have 7 of them who work with faculty approximately 6 to 8 hours a week. We're pretty flexible based off of the workload of the students, and they've received $20,000. The traditional scholarships, we had 225,000. We also, in addition to like your general review, you will see that there's a program essay optional in our OTCAS. If you feel like you uniquely meet our mission and the background, you can go ahead and complete that prompt in order to be eligible for the leadership and allied health professional scholarships. Feel free to reach out if you have questions on your eligibility or if you don't see it as OTCAS open. So many of you are somewhat familiar, it sounds like, with Chicago. You can see we're located just about a mile west of downtown on that top right image. All students do have a CTA U-Pass. So during the semester when class is in session or when fieldwork is in session, you will be able to take like the L and the city bus for free. We also, the Metro drops folks off downtown at 2 different locations if you're commuting in from the suburbs, and we have a shuttle that will take you for free from that drop-off site of the Metro to Rush. We also have the parking garage. Students really live across the many different areas of Chicago, as well as the Chicago suburbs, and commute in through all of these different methods. Some of them live so close they can see Rush and, you know, walk in that circumstance, and then far out where we have students that commute an hour from McHenry and far suburbs. So we will send out this slide deck. As I mentioned, we really pump out a lot of content on Instagram. Our website's a great place to gather more information. If you're particularly interested in Capstone or what's going on, our newsletter is also excellent. We have our previous alumni Q&A sessions on our YouTube, as well as links to our information session. Here are the upcoming alumni question and answer sessions. I mentioned acute care coming up this week. We have an outpatient pediatrics session scheduled for July and outpatient neuro session scheduled for August. If you want to come on campus, always feel free to shoot us a message and we can set something up. If you're here on a one-off, we have some upcoming student-led tours. That's what's happening on July 23rd. And then we have a bigger event in which students or prospective students can come on campus and actually meet some of the faculty and rotate through these different interactive stations to give you a sense of what it's like to be an OT student here at Rush. As I mentioned, we note that applying to OT school and navigating OTCAS and all the requirements can be heavy lifting and a lot for one's bandwidth. We are here to help support you in navigating that process. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Don't call us, email us. You can call us, but we're not as responsive as we will be with that email. I will delete that. Thank you all for your attention. It was lovely to see at least a good amount of folks on the camera, and we will be sending out this information. Look at that. I said 10 minutes on the dot. I was going a little quick there, but I'm here for questions.